Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorton. I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. You want to call and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. And with all the news in boxing, we'll be here till about maybe, 7:15, Joe? I think about 7:15.
Yeah. Not much going on this week.
Not much going on here, man. So pretty weird week here. Today, we're going to talk about Deontay Wilder landing in some hot water over some comments he made. And Anthony Joshua says his contract with Showtime is like an abusive relationship. But first, we get started with the return of the Mac. Ringside Robert is back. Robbie, good to have you back on here.
Thank you, brother, and I'm glad to be back, everybody. It's been a rather stressful and difficult 2 weeks.
I hear you, man. So you got caught in the California wildfire. One of them, there's a few going on over there, right?
Yeah, there's quite a few. The one I got caught in is the car fire, which is still not put out. It is currently 59% contained. As of the 8 o'clock update this morning, it has burned 191,211 acres, and almost 1,500 homes and businesses have been destroyed.
Oh, my goodness.
Crazy.
That's insane.
No, my community will probably never be the same. It's rather horrifying to see something happen to the place you have grown up and lived in most of your life. I've lived in other places, but this is by far home, and a lot of people are talking about leaving. I mean, who knows if things continue the way they've been going with all these fires. We might have to think about moving, and it's something we don't want to do. My mom has lived here over 50 years, and she considers this home, and so we might have to make some difficult decisions, with the way things are going.
That's crazy. Now, okay, so in your town, I guess in your little town or whatever, I know it hit you because you guys got evacuated, but like grocery stores and stuff like that. I mean, do you guys have it's you guys are back at home, but is there anything around you guys, or did all that get wiped out?
Yeah, no. A lot of the stores are up and running. All the evacuations for our area have been lifted. Everybody's at home, and as far as we can tell, business is going as normal. People still have to pay their bills and live their everyday lives, but it's unrecognizable, man. A lot of people are without homes. They have to stay with other people. We've had shelters open, and we've had numerous fundraisers so far to raise all kinds of money for people that are without. And mind you, we have this fire going on and other fires going on in the state of California. So our state resources are stretched to the limit, and they have brought in the National Guard to help out with things. And we've got firefighters from all 50 states, all U.S. territories, and even people from New Zealand and Australia have been over here, and they're helping with things. So, people are doing the best that they can, but our community will probably never be the same. Those that are going to stick around have said that they're going to rebuild, but a lot of people have thrown up their hands and have said that they're going to leave. So it'll be interesting to see what our community is going to look like in a couple of years.
Now, is this something you guys have to deal with every year out there? I mean, because every year we hear about fires in California. I mean, is this something that you guys have to deal with every year?
No, we don't. The last time we ever had to evacuate for anything was 2008. But that fire didn't do nearly as much damage as this has. This fire got out of control quickly because of the major winds that we've had. The weather conditions have been extremely dry, and we've had more humidity than we've ever had. And of course, for those of you that don't know, fires, the less humidity there is, the better the firefighters have fighting it. The more humidity there is, the more difficulty it causes for them. So, you know, we've had strange weather conditions for 2018. And yeah, you normally have to deal with fires every summer, normally in the bigger metropolitan areas. But in 2018, this summer has been out of control because there's been so many fires, you know, that have gone on in this state. And because we live close to Oregon, about an hour away from the Oregon border, we've also been affected by some of the fires they've had going on. So it's been rather interesting around here. And a lot of the media are trying to tell everybody around here that this is going to become the new normal. So this is something for those of us that decide to stay around, we may have to deal with more in the future.
Why are they predicting that? I mean, what's the logic behind that?
It's because of the global warming and the fact that temperatures and weather conditions are becoming more out of control.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, that is something else, man. I tell you what. Well, we're glad you're okay. We're glad you're safe. We're glad you're back home and your family's okay and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, like I told you yesterday, Eric, we have to keep things packed up just in case we may have to do this again. You know, we can't. You know, our life is totally not back to complete normal because we're not able to totally unpack and put everything away. Because as long as these fires are going on, we have to be on standby in case we have to up and leave again. Because remember, the last time we evacuated, we had to do it in the middle of the night. So.
Wow, is that right? That's crazy. And so what did they do? They just come and knock on your door and say, "Hey, you got to go"?
Well, no. In my case, I got an alert on my iPhone that basically told us we had to leave. So we packed up what we could and we left.
How far? Okay, so like how far? Just curious, like how far was the fire from getting to you when you got the word to evacuate? Like
3 miles.
Man. So you only had literally like a couple hours to get out of there before something could have happened. I mean, that's not a lot of time. I mean, yeah, you can jump in your car and leave, but then you got all your, what do you have stuff. I mean, you're going to be away from home,
I've had, for those that don't know, I've had extensive experience with evacuations because when I lived in South Carolina, after I got my ham radio license, I'm an amateur radio operator. I went to work for the Red Cross and would help people evacuate during hurricanes. In the 10 years I lived in South Carolina, I had to evacuate myself 6 times and help people evacuate 6 times. And so I know what it's like to run a shelter, be responsible for food and all the things you need, and also handle all the major communications, because during a hurricane especially, phone lines go out and ham radio is really the only way to get information in and out of an area. So I've had plenty of experience with this, but this is the first time, the second time that I've ever had to evacuate in the state of California. So
that's insane. I didn't know that.
By far the worst.
Yeah, I didn't. I knew you were a ham radio operator. I knew that, but I didn't know you worked for the Red Cross and you were, actually knew how to like evacuate and stuff like that, and you were helping out with that. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So this was good. I mean, that you had experience in it.
Because see, ham radio, it's a federal license. So whenever there's a disaster, we're on standby in case we need to go to a specific area just to help out. So.
Wow. Well, like I said, man, we're really glad you're back home, man, back home and safe, and hopefully you can stay there. You know what I mean? And know whether they get that fire under control and goes back all good. Now you said just one more quick question now about this whole thing. Now you said they call this the car fire, and because it was started by a car.
Exactly.
Now you said that guy, I guess, who started the fire actually turned himself in and wanted to be arrested. What happened with that? Is he going to be charged, or was this just an accident, or what happened?
No. They call this an act of God. He had a mechanical failure while he was driving, and that's what started the fire on July 23rd.
Wow.
And here it is, August 12th, and they say this fire may not be totally out until the month of September, depending on weather conditions and if any more red flag warnings are issued because of, wind is a devastating thing. I mean, we actually, during the height of this fire, we actually had a fire tornado that registered on the tornado scale as an F3. And for those that are not familiar with that, just like with hurricanes they go from 1 to 5. Same with tornadoes. Tornadoes go from 1 to 5. We registered a 3 at the highest peak of this fire. The tornado that was formed out of this fire was actually going at 143 miles an hour, and it caused some devastating results.
Now, is this just wind, or is this a fire tornado where there's fire in it?
It's a fire tornado that gets caught up in the wind, so the wind carries the fire as far as it wants.
Can you imagine? That's just like Hollywood movie kind of stuff. I mean, that's insane to have like a big tornado just full of fire just coming at you and destroying things. It's like, wow. Can't even imagine.
That's why a lot of areas were evacuated just for precautionary reasons. But no, I mean, this is something we here in Northern California have never really seen before. I mean, you don't get tornadoes here. You don't get things like this here. And, so we're experiencing a lot of what a lot of us have never experienced. Now, I've had previous experience because when I lived in South Carolina, I was involved with 6 different hurricanes. I've been involved with numerous tornadoes. So, I don't freak out over things, but a lot of people who grew up around here who have never lived anywhere else, it was a madhouse, man.
I bet. Yeah, I think that was pretty stand-up of that guy, man. I mean, it was obviously an accident and like something mechanical went wrong with his car, but I mean, to go turn himself in like that and say he can be arrested. I mean, a lot of people got hurt in this fire. A lot of people were displaced and everything like that, but that's, say what you want, man. That's a stand-up thing to do.
Unfortunately, we lost 8 people. They lost their lives. So,
yeah. I don't know, man. That's a stand-up thing to do, man. That's the right thing to do. And whether they charged him or not, I mean, it's, hey, it was
no,
the right
they did
thing.
not.
That's good, man. I mean, it was an accident.
So I've got a lot of boxing I want to catch up with. So let's get to that part of the show. But hopefully this answers a lot of people's questions.
All right. Well, perfect. Let's talk about something a little bit more happier here, or maybe not. On Facebook Watch last night, Jesus Rojas versus Jojo Diaz for Rojas's WBA regular featherweight title. Jojo Diaz won a unanimous decision over Jesus Rojas by the scores of 117, 111, 116, 112, and 115, 113, but didn't win a title because he missed weight. He had a chance to win, didn't make it, missed weight. So Rojas is still a champion.
How far off was he?
What was he, Joe? Do you know it was like a half a pound or something like that? I think it was 126 and a half. And
yeah, it wasn't big. It wasn't big.
And for non-title fights, I think you get a pound allowance. But for title fights, you don't get any allowance. You got to
you could fight, but the title won't be on the line for you if you win. If you're over.
Yeah, Jason in the chat is saying 0.8 pounds. So there you go. Whatever it was.
As long as it wasn't 22 ounces, that's all we care about. If he was 22 ounces,
that's why he weighed in overweight.
Yeah, if he was 22 ounces overweight, then it would have been a problem.
I'll tell you what, from what I got to watch, it looked like a tough fight for both guys. Lily was a good scrap, but I ended up turning this off after just a couple of rounds, man. The stream was terrible. It was stop and go the whole time. I was watching it, man. The stream completely stopped at one point, and I was done. I heard it came back on about 4 rounds later, but, you can't expect people to sit here and stream and wait for it to come back on. I mean, I'm not going to wait there while they work out the bugs in the system, especially for Jojo Diaz and Jesus Rojas.
And that's one of my issues with people depending on ESPN Plus and DAZN and other play. What happens? I mean, you don't get your money back when things go haywire. I mean, this is one of the problems that people are going to have if promoters and people are going to depend on the internet to put out their fights.
Well, if you're going to do it right. Either do it on an app, do it on a dedicated space or something like that. And I don't know if they were or not, but it was awful. It was just awful. But there was some good news coming out of that fight last night. The most entertaining thing on Golden Boy Boxing last night, of course, was from Titletown, Ohio. They were reading comments, and one of the comments was submitted by Titletown's own Ohio Runs Boxing. That's right. Ohio Runs Boxing, baby. The ref was a lady, and I guess it was an undercard bout. The ref was a lady. Ohio Runs Boxing put out a comment. They were reading comments online. His comment was, and it was read by the announcer, "That's crazy. I used to date the ref."
Oh my God!
And Mario Lopez pretty much ran with that and everything like that. It was pretty good, man. So I was really happy to see Ohio Runs Boxing get out there and everything like that. I just saw that today, man. I saw it on the he posted it on Facebook. So if you guys have him on Facebook, man, go look it up. It's funny, man. Not televised, and for good reason. Not televised. BJ Flores versus Trevor Bryan for the vacant interim WBA heavyweight title. Let that sink in for a minute. The vacant interim WBA heavyweight title. If you're still wondering how bad the WBA really is, how about this was for their interim heavyweight title? BJ Flores was knocked down 6 times en route to losing a 4th round TKO over unbeaten Trevor Bryan.
The WBA is a fucking idiot.
There you go.
You better give it up, man. 6 times?
6 times. And he talks about, what I hate about it is he talks about other people. I guess he talks about other fighters. When he was announcing for PBC or whatever, he would always just dump all over the fighters, man. He would always dump all over them. Airhead. Beeb, what were your thoughts on the vacant interim WBA heavyweight title? And what are your thoughts on the WBA?
Oh, my gosh. Vacant interim title. What does that even mean?
So you had an interim title. You just made it up.
It's like, I don't know. They're gonna start fighting for vacant, like #1 contender spots now too. Like, where does it end? Where does it end?
About the guy that won, but my God,
I don't know what to say.
Let me tell you how lousy this is. Let me tell you how lousy this is. All right. #1, BJ Flores was ranked number 5 by the WBA. That's bad enough. In heavyweight. All right, that's bad enough.
Wow.
He's ranked ahead of Dillian White and Derek Chisora. Even worse. All right. So I don't think BJ Flores can beat anybody in the top 15 in the heavyweight division of the WBA. But
no,
neither one. Doesn't matter. All right. Let me read you this. The WBA, Anthony Joshua is the champion. Manuel Char is the regular champion. And now we've just created an interim champion.
Okay.
I predict in a couple of weeks, I will be the WBA podcast champion. How about that?
I think Jason will be the WBA 22-ounce glove champion.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. That's going
That's what I'm thinking.
That's happening.
And
son.
he'll be managed by the one and only Al Heyman.
Al Heyman. Al Heyman's not going to take Jason. Why would Al Heyman do that?
Because Jason props up his promotion company, and let's call it what it is. It's a promotion company like nobody else's business.
I thought you were going to say props up his pillow at night. You didn't go where I thought you were going to go.
He could do that too. You know?
Jason said Beeb and his lazy jokes.
And it's so funny because someone was trolling me on Twitter, right? And they accused me of kissing Jason's ass. Really? I'm all over that guy like flies on shit, and I'm kissing this guy's ass. There's not a show that goes on that I don't take a verbal jab at the guy. But Allegedly, I kissed the guy's ass.
That's right.
I almost fell out of my chair. I almost fell out of my chair when I was reading that tweet.
Jason and Heyman Industries are doing a merger. How about that?
Yeah, right.
All right. That's it for this weekend's action in boxing. Wow, that was quick, man. That was quick. All right. So, let's talk about the upcoming fights here. My Savant is back. The Mac is back. Robert, August 16th, is that a Thursday?
Let's see. Yeah, that would be a Thursday.
All right. Risuke Iwasa versus TJ Doheny. 12 rounds for Iwasa's IBF junior featherweight title. This will be on ESPN Plus, probably at 5 in the morning. August 17th from Indio, California on ESPN2. Andrew Cancio versus Darden Zanuaj. 10 rounds junior lightweights. Yoshihiro Kamagai versus Greg Vendetti. 10 rounds junior middleweights. And this has got to be a Golden Boy card. Robert, is this a Golden Boy card?
Yes, because
how did
Golden
I know
Boy
that?
always has their cards in Indio, California.
How did I know that was a Golden Boy card, Robert? Huh?
Yeah.
How did I know?
Hey,
is it just the quality of the fights?
It's just easy to tell, man. You know. Anyway, go ahead, Eric.
All right. So let's see here. In Indio, Chihuahua, Mexico, the fights aren't going to be televised. Worcester, Mass. Beeb stomping grounds. Won't be televised. Let's see here. August 18th, Saturday. From Atlantic City, New Jersey on ESPN, Bryant Bye-Bye Jennings versus Alexander Dmitrienko. 12 rounds. Heavyweights. Jesse Hart versus Mike Gavronsky. 10 rounds. Super middleweights. Shakur Stevenson versus Carlos Ruiz. 8 rounds. Featherweights. Jason Sosa versus Ronaldo Blanco. 8 rounds. Junior lightweights. And let's see here. That is it for the ones you know about anyway.
Okay.
That'll be on ESPN. I'm assuming that's a top rank card.
Yep, that's top rank.
Yeah. From Belfast, Northern Ireland, same day on Showtime Facebook and YouTube. Showtime Extreme, same day tape. Carl Frampton versus Luke Jackson, the Jackal. 12 rounds for Frampton's WBO interim featherweight title. Here we go with another interim. Tyson Fury versus Francesco Pianeta. 10 rounds heavyweights. And Christopher Rosales versus Patty Barnes. 12 rounds for Rosales' WBC flyweight title.
I'm glad that Showtime's Extreme is going to tape this, because that means we can see Carl Frampton and Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Which is going to be good for what we're going to talk about later.
That's it. From Chihuahua, Mexico, on BN Sports in Espanol, Robbie's favorite station. Annabelle Ortiz versus Jennifer Leon. 10 rounds for Ortiz's WBA women's strawweight title. Robbie can't wait to not watch that one. And let's see what else we got.
That is correct.
El Paso, Texas, not televised. Your boy, Robert, Gabriel Rosado versus Alfredo Angulo, a rematch. 10 round super middleweight.
God.
Those two are still fighting. How about that? Those two are still fighting. Wrap your head around that for a minute. From Mexico City, Carlos Cuadras versus Ricardo Nunez. No time, no nothing like that. No, no TV on that one. And that is it for this weekend of action.
Wow.
Beeb, let's talk about it. This is a, would you qualify this as a tune-up for Carl Frampton against Luke Jackson?
Stay busy fight against a mid-level guy, kind of like I think it's a mid-level tune-up fight, probably. Yeah, not something that's going to be like a walkover, but he'll get rounds in.
If you call this a tune-up fight, then how does Jackson get a title shot? I don't know anything about Luke Jackson. What has he done to earn a title shot?
It's a good question.
It's definitely a softer defense. It's not a Leo Santa Cruz, but I can tell you that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and this is for Frampton's WBO interim title.
It's an interim title. Man. Was
right,
that one vacant, or was that a legitimate win?
Yeah, who knows?
Jesus
who knows,
Christ.
guys? All right, but let's talk about the big fight this weekend, the one everybody's going to be focused on. That's the co-main here. Tyson Fury versus Francesco Pianeta. This should be a walk in the park for Tyson Fury. It's a tune-up. Pianeta's got some big names on his resume. 2 fights ago, he was beaten by Kevin Johnson, which I'm surprised still fights. Ruslan Shagayev beat him. Klitschko beat him. Franz Botha beat him. Oliver McCall beat him. And those are the big names on his resume. So he's been in there with some big names.
Big name, he's lost.
Yeah, he's been in there with some big names, and I'm sure he's a durable guy. Yeah, he lost a unanimous decision his last fight out. Lost by TKO to Kevin Johnson. Lost by knockout to Shagayev. Of course, to Klitschko, he was knocked out. Won a unanimous decision. Actually, he won a unanimous decision over Botha and McCall. So, he's got, I think he's a good, put it this way, he's a good tune-up for Tyson Fury. B, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's a good fight for Tyson Fury. It would have been nice possibly for someone like this to be his first fight back instead of the cruiserweight guy there. So what's his Safari, whatever his name is? Safari, right?
I was a very underrated fighter.
Yeah, I mean, that fight made absolutely zero sense. And if that's the type of fight you're going to fight, and you're just going to play around the whole fight, and you're not really going to get any quality work, and then it seemed like a big waste of time. So I thought this was the fight that should have been a decent comeback opponent. But with that being said, Tyson Fury physically has looked a lot better. He's been posting some stuff to his Instagram, and he looks like he's dropped some weight. Looks like he leaned out and put on some muscle mass. He's putting some training footage up there, starting to look a little sharper. I mean, obviously this is just training. It's not in there, with a live body under the lights, but you can see a progression already in progress, I should say, in the process of getting closer and closer back to that form of 2015 when he beat Vladimir Klitschko. So this is a good fight. All eyes are going to be on him now because of the Deontay Wilder news. So it would behoove him to really be on his A game and not play around in this fight and take this fight very seriously, because the Deontay Wilder fight, if it does happen after this fight, is going to be a really, really tough challenge for him. And he's got to stay away from that right hand. And, he's going to be in there with a serious threat in Deontay Wilder. And if he loses that fight, then a lot of other potential future paydays will go down the drain. If he loses the fight, but he makes a good account of himself, there possibly could be a rematch, or he could still be in the mix. So, let's see what happens with Pianeta. Let's see how he looks. Let's see if he gets Pianeta out of there like he should, or if Pianeta ends up hanging around longer than he's supposed to. And if Pianeta actually lands shots, then that's going to be a red flag in him taking on Deontay Wilder. And that's something that people are going to probably say the brakes should be pumped on that one if he doesn't look good in this fight. So this is a very interesting fight. Deontay Wilder is going to be there ringside. So, I'm anticipating that, the best Tyson Fury that he could possibly muster up. I think he knows what's lies ahead for him, and I think he will put on a good show, and I think he'll get the job done and do it in style. So let's see what happens. Let's see if I'm right.
There you go, Robert. Let me ask you, what do you think? I mean, Beeb is watching this guy Pianeta before. I haven't seen him. I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen him, or if I have seen him, he wasn't very memorable. What are your thoughts on this fight? Is this a good move for Tyson Fury? A good second fight comeback? On the videos, we see him looking very sharp.
I look at it this way. I don't think I've seen this guy he's fighting yet either. I'm like you. If I've seen him, I don't remember.
Right.
But I look at it this way. He fought June 9th. Granted, it wasn't spectacular, but he got away with a victory. Less than 2 months later, he's back in the ring. I think since he's been off for so long, I think this is good. This is good for the sense of, he needs, the more work he gets, the better off he is. But I'm concerned that after this fight, he's automatically going to be thrown in with Deontay Wilder. I'm going to be interested to see how he looks because, the way he fights this fight is going to tell us whether he's ready for a fight in December against Wilder. I wonder if they're trying to bite off too much too soon with him only having 2 comeback fights.
Yeah, I think 2 comeback fights, though. I mean, the guy was on top level. I think 2 fights is fair before he fights starting some competition, man. And
okay,
I'll put it this way: Wilder's not the best guy he's boxed. I mean,
no,
would not be the best guy he's boxed. And Tyson Fury is in his heyday, is a very good boxer. What we want to know is that, after all the binges and everything like that, is he the same guy? I don't know, but he is looking a lot less. He's looking very, very slim, very starting to get muscled up a little bit more. He looks very sharp in training, very quick in training. It'll be interesting, man. I'm really curious to see how he looks in this fight. Because I'll give him the comeback. We'll all give him the comeback fight. That's fine. But, how's he going to look? How does he look here? And how, and then going into Wilder, I think that he should be ready by the time he gets to Wilder. And that fight is rumored for December. And as Joe said earlier, Wilder is slated to be there in the UK. My feeling is that they'll announce it right then, So it could be interesting, man. Could be interesting.
Do you think, say the Fury fight happens in December, do you think there's still enough turnaround for Wilder and Joshua to happen in April, or do you think Wilder would just bypass that April fight?
I don't even think you need a big buildup for Wilder Joshua.
No, it's already been building up.
There. The bad blood, that's all there.
The thing that concerns me about Wilder, he fought Ortiz in March, and he's going to wait until December to get back in the ring.
I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's too bad. I mean, he fought twice. That's twice a year. That's not too bad. I mean, I don't like it, but I don't think that's that big of a deal.
Let me ask you this, Eric, because I've been hearing, again, these are rumors. I've been hearing rumblings over the internet. This Joshua Vacant fight, is it tickets going as expected, or I heard they're not selling as fast as Joshua's previous fights? Is that correct?
Really?
Have you heard anything about that?
No, the only tickets I've got, the only things I've heard about is with Canelo and Triple G, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I did not hear that.
Anyone in the chat hear that about how?
I will tell you this. I will tell you this.
From the UK to come in and fill us in on that.
I will tell you this: that every time there's a sellout in 30 minutes, we hear about it. I mean,
they're
nonstop.
Good point, Eric. Yeah,
so
good point.
My guess is that you're probably right, and the scuttlebutt around is probably right that hey, they're not getting what they thought they'd be getting in this fight.
Well, let me ask you guys, and let me ask people in the chat a question. What's a better fight in terms of intrigue? What's a better fight, Wilder Fury, or Joshua Dillian White? If you lived in the UK and someone put a gun to your head and said you could buy either one, you only could buy one pay-per-view, would you buy Wilder Fury or would you buy Joshua White too? That's a great question.
I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean,
yeah, me too.
Wilder.
Fury Wilder. Yeah.
Listen, we already saw the Joshua White. We already saw it.
Yeah, Joshua.
It was a 7th round knockout. White. What do we need to see? What that White landed shot that shook him? That's it.
That's his claim to fame, landing that one left hook.
Right.
He buzzed him, and Joshua came right back after being buzzed.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't.
And remember, the only time Joshua's been down, he got up and came back and won the fight. So. And
you know what's funny, and Robbie and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but ever since that Klitschko fight, Joshua seems to have changed a little bit in the ring. He's a little bit more reserved and less aggressive and a little bit more safety first. Because, granted, White did buzz him, no questions asked. But he came right back. Whereas Klitschko almost knocked him out. He looked really hurt in that Klitschko fight. And I'm wondering, do you think that may have light a fire under him, or not even light a fire on him? Do you think that may have instilled some concern in him? That maybe I'm not invincible now. I'm human. I could get knocked out. You think that's in the back of his mind because of what happened in that Klitschko fight?
Joshua has been more reserved in the two fights since Klitschko.
Yeah.
And because he now realizes, hey, somebody can put me on my ass, and if I'm not careful, all this stuff is going to go away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that needs to be considered in a Wilder fight if the Wilder fight happens.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and number one, I think that you talk about Anthony Joshua in his last couple of fights. Listen, Joseph Parker is not he's not fighting slouches here. He's fighting dangerous guys, and he's never been a knockout guy per se. He's always been a boxer first. And I don't think he's that kind of guy that's got that Tyson power and goes out and clubs you and that's it, and can get you out of there with one punch. That's not him. He's got the power, but that's not really him,
If anybody's got the power, it's Wilder. One shot and you're done,
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm looking at StubHub right now in the UK, and I can buy tickets right by ringside, 6 tickets already. They say that the ones that are sold out, this is a month ago, so the article is actually from a month ago here. It says the price that 100, 150, and 200 pounds were already sold out only hours after going on general sale. The available prices are, the cheapest one is 40 pounds. You can still buy 68.
Imagine that.
800 and 2,000.
Imagine being able to go to a heavyweight championship fight.
For 80
with
75
with the biggest name in heavyweight boxing right now, and 40 pounds is roughly, it's like 50 bucks.
Yeah.
50, 55 bucks. Imagine being able to do that. Like, did Tyson tickets ever go when he was champion? Could you ever get Tyson tickets for $55?
No way.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So this is what people need to realize. Golovkin, Canelo, cheapest seats in the house are 300. 300, which is roughly 6 times the amount higher than those Joshua Vacant tickets. So this is why you UK guys need to understand the math behind this. Really, if it's again, it's impressive he can sell 90,000 seats. That's great, but more people will be willing to spend. It's not hard to always sell out if you can buy tickets for $50. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. It's still great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diminish it, but just look at the situation. I mean, imagine if
fairness. But in fairness, you look at like Canelo, who's a huge star, and those ticket prices at Minute Maid. Was it Minute Maid Park where he fought when he fought what's his face?
Trout?
Yeah, he sold that place out. Yeah,
they sold out.
1,000.
They sold it out. Cheapest seats. Yeah, cheapest seats there were 10. And again, the cheapest seats there were 10,000. I understand that. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? When he became the biggest name in the sport, he's not fighting. His tickets aren't selling for $10 now. That's what I'm saying. So when you got a guy as big as Joshua, and you're able to see him for $50, I mean, I think a lot of people would jump at that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Heck,
imagine Floyd Mayweather fighting in a stadium, and his tickets were $50. He would sell it out too.
I think it's interesting that most of Joshua's fights, have just gone like when he's announced them and everything like that, they've gone on sale and they've sold out quick.
Very impressive.
Period of hours, days, or even minutes at some points.
Very impressive.
And the fact that we still got ringside tickets available here.
Yep.
I don't know. Now, I'm not saying there's not going to be a lot of people there. It's a stadium. Clearly, there's a lot of people
the article is a month old, so I wish we had an updated figure.
Yeah, that's correct, too. And it is, you're right. It was from the 12th last month. So, yeah, it's a month old. And obviously, more tickets have been sold. But I just went on to StubHub now, and we're able to get 6 ringside tickets.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
So, clearly, there's still some there. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Craziness. Let's see here. Speaking of, let's go to the news and rumors here before we go to the phones. Joshua is leaving Showtime for DAZN. Anthony Joshua told CBS Sports that DAZN is the best move for his career. He said that business, quote, business isn't about loyalty. It's about making the right decisions for your career. We are all working together. There is HBO, DAZN, and there's Sky. There's all these other broadcasters. So it's not about I'm going to stay put because we are loyal. It's like being in an abusive relationship. You have to make moves for the better of your life.
Boy, do I totally disagree with what he just said.
I mean, does this guy have to put his foot in his mouth every time he talks? I mean, was that really an abusive relationship, having that deal with Showtime? See, this is the thing.
Millions of dollars by Showtime. Yeah, that's
like the end game is pay-per-view. Great, you're on Sky pay-per-view, but eventually you want to be on Showtime pay-per-view too. Look at what Showtime has done over the years with Mike Tyson pay-per-views, with Floyd Mayweather pay-per-views. Look at the track record of Showtime. Four of the highest grossing fights of all time have been on Showtime pay-per-view. Okay? So, I mean, just figure it out.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know if that's, how like sometimes you say stuff and then you look back, you're like, wow, that was a dumb thing to say. I think he's probably going to look back on this and say, wow, that was a really stupid thing to say. I should have come up with a different way to say it. Because, Showtime's paying you millions, man. They're paying you a lot of money, and, it's just silly. I don't know what the DAZN's paying them. I don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but when Don King was in his heyday and put all of his fighters on Showtime, weren't every single one of his cards a pay-per-view card? I mean, Anthony Joshua is being a complete idiot.
This is the problem. And again, I'm not going to pretend like I know the logistics behind the deal. But if you did sign a deal with DAZN, right? So then it's like you could never ever maximize your full earning potential, because if you're locked in to the DAZN, if you're locked in, any U.S. televised fight that you're in, it has to be on DAZN, and you're locked in and you can't use Showtime pay-per-view, then you just shot yourself in the foot. Now, I don't know if that is the case, and I'm not going to pretend like I do know. But if that is the case, which is something you have to think about, then that's a bonehead move, a horrific bonehead move.
Well, what's going to happen is that they're going to put those fights on Sky. And I'm wondering if there's going to be a pay-per-view on, not Sky. They're going to put it on DAZN. I wonder if they're going to charge you more to watch the fight, like a pay-per-view within the pay-per-view on DAZN.
I don't know. That's the thing, because
it's $10. But then
why would you Why would you want to get a $9.99? Not even a $9.99 because you break up all the other fights. Like, why would you want to get that type? Like, I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the logistics behind it. I don't even know what DAZN's paying him. But again, when you lock yourself in, right, then you don't have the other opportunities. You can't, you can't put yourself out there. You can't shop yourself around. So I don't know. I don't know how that deal's structured. And here's another thing I don't understand too, because I'm ignorant to this too. So Eddie Hearn has the authority to sign the contracts for Joshua. Some people in the know say that that's customary. Honestly, I've never heard that before in my life. I got to ask other fighters, and if anyone else knows, is that normal that the promoter signs the contracts?
I don't believe so. And you know what? It's funny because I just saw an interview with Tom Loeffler on about Triple. I was watching a thing on Triple G's training camp and stuff like that. And Tom Loeffler said that he was talking about the making of the fight, and he says, he said, he was like, Canelo was in Mexico City. We're both in LA. Me and Gomez are both in LA. And he said that Canelo's in Mexico City. Triple G's in Moscow for the World Cup or whatever. And he said trying to get these guys together was hard because like they want answers now. And these guys are both out of the country. You talk about different time zones, everything. And he said, of course, we have to get their okay before the contract is put together, and signed, So, yeah, I mean, that's funny that you mentioned it because that's what he said. So it doesn't sound like that's normal practice.
Someone was telling me that was normal practice. I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to say it is or it isn't.
Yeah.
But do you ever see like when they're hyping up a fight and they will actually show like the two fighters actually signing their contracts to fight each other?
Yeah.
Like Marvin Hagler and when Marvin Hagler fought Ray Leonard, they actually showed them signing their contract. Like that was part of the buildup. So again, I'm ignorant to this. I've never heard of the promoter signing the actual contract for the fighter. Could it be possible that that's in his contract that he turned over, his rights to the promoter? I don't know. But the way this is being presented to me is like Eddie Hearn is in control of Joshua and not the other way around. If you're having someone sign on your behalf, that's like being a healthcare proxy and having the healthcare proxy sign all of your paperwork because you're not in the mental state of mind to be able to do that yourself.
That's like a power of attorney. Yep.
Power of attorney. Exactly, Robert. Healthcare proxies, yeah.
Okay.
Both things.
Yeah.
Cameron Connor in the chat says, if you're a promoter and a fighter at the same time, then yes, you would need to sign the main contract. Guys, you need to be better informed. Joshua is not his own promoter at Matchroom. They have the power of attorney for the main contract.
I openly admitted that I didn't know. I'm not saying that I know. I asked if that's common. I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that either. And
this is the first time I've heard that before. And I want to ask.
I know Cameron's called in before, but I'll be real curious.
Yeah.
Is he in the fight game? I mean, does he know? I mean,
again, is he just taking Eddie Hearn's word for it?
Sure.
And is he just repeating what Eddie Hearn said?
Cameron, go ahead and call in.
If you can call in, I mean, if you say that you
let me get this straight. Are you telling me from what you just said, Eddie Hearn signs all the contracts for Joshua, and Anthony Joshua doesn't have to sign a thing?
Or doesn't even sign up for Triple G, but how?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm saying this is out of Tom's mouth, not mine.
Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin sign their own contracts. I mean, Deontay Wilder seems to sign his own contracts. Again, Cameron, if you say that you knew this beforehand, and this is something you've always knew, then I'll accept that. But if you're just saying it because Eddie Hearn's saying it,
just call in and talk to us.
Yeah, because Eddie Hearn was telling people that in order to file for an exemption, you need a signed contract. That is totally false because I proved that that's false because Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin both got exceptions and they didn't have their fight signed. So we've seen Deontay Wilder get exceptions without having a fight signed, and we've seen Gennady Golovkin have exceptions without having a fight signed, and Canelo Alvarez as well. So don't sit there and tell me that, just because Eddie Hearn says that that's what it is. And again, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. But don't, if you always knew this, then that's what you have to say, because I never heard you mention this before. I never heard anyone ever bring this up or say this before. It's never been put out there that a promoter signs a contract for a fighter. Right. So I don't know.
I followed boxing for over 45, almost 45 years, and I've never.
And again, I don't know. I'm not saying I know, but I just find it odd that this is the first time in my life and I've been watching this sport for about 35, close to 40 years. And I've never heard of a promoter signing a contract for a fighter. That could be me that could be me just being ignorant. And I admit that. If I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. But again,
not without the fighter's consent.
Eric,
not without the fighter's consent.
You're a big,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Robert.
You're a big UFC guy. Does Dana White sign all of his fighters' contracts?
Yeah.
Doesn't. Yeah.
The UFC fighters, Dana White says, yeah, they have. He openly had said these guys got to. Bob Arum said the same thing. They have to sign the contract. I can't sign the contract for them. I've heard Bob Arum say that.
No.
So I don't know.
Snowball says Deontay Wilder never signs his contracts. He's lost his pen 3 times in the last 6 months.
Oh my God!
And here's another thing. Why is Eddie Hearn specifically asking for Deontay Wilder's signature? Why isn't he asking for Al Heyman's signature or Shelly Finkel's signature? Why? So why is Deontay Wilder signing his contracts and Anthony Joshua is not signing his?
I think they can sign, and I think Cameron might be wrong here. I think they can sign the bout agreement. I think that the promoters can sign the bout agreement, but the actual contract, I don't think that there's a power. I mean, you're right. That would be like a power of attorney thing.
Why would you need that? Why would you have to have your promoter?
Tell you what, I would not trust my promoter to sign my contract. Put it that
way. But just think of this now. Why would there be, if the promoter shows the fighter the contract and shows the fighter's lawyer the contract and the fighter's manager the contract, right? Why would the promoter have to sign the contract for the fighter? Why can't the fighter sign his own contract? What would be the reasoning for that? Why?
Okay,
that makes no sense.
Here, and I'm going to.
That makes no sense.
I admit this is a stupid question, but Eric, what's the difference between a fight agreement and the promoter signing a bout agreement? Isn't that the same thing?
Not exactly.
No.
A bout agreement just says the fight's going to take place. These are the terms. Okay. Now the contract breaks everything down. It's more of a
specifics.
Yeah,
more specifics. Yeah.
Okay.
The bout agreement just says, hey, we're going to give you all this. The contract, I'm sure, breaks down everything. I mean, that's a big breakdown.
And I'm hearing other journalists. Jump on board with this, saying, "Yeah, this is common practice." Again, if I'm wrong, I will come out and say I'm wrong. If other promoters come out and other fighters come out and say, "Yeah, this is how it's done," I will totally, accept that, and I'll run with it. But I just find this weird how I've never heard of this before in my life.
Yeah, Cameron, if you would do me a favor, call in and let us know how you know this.
Yeah, how do you know this?
Yeah,
and I hope it's not just because Eddie told you.
But
because Eddie said a lot of falsehoods. He said a lot of falsehoods.
Did you ever notice we're very ill-informed because we don't.
Yeah, we don't know anything. We don't know anything. All these other people who don't have promoters licenses or don't have manager licenses, who aren't lawyers. These people, for whatever reason, the internet is dialed in more in tune to them than it is. So when they do Google searches, they get direct links that we're not privileged to have. What makes these people have the inside track? Just because they say something, just because you want something to be a certain way. And you're looking. You know what the problem is, and I'm sure I've been guilty of this in my life too. You do Google searches, and you're looking for stories. You're looking for any little headline that could support you in your argument. That's called confirmation bias. Can I tell you the truth? I look for things to disprove what I think. I never go with what if I can only find one link about something, then I'm highly skeptical if that's true or not. I look for at least 2 or 3 links, 2 or 3 stories that say the same thing, that can corroborate the same thing. You can't just take one video, unless it's an interview with that person saying it out of their own mouths, and you could take that. But you can't just look at one source and just roll with it.
All right. Well, I've just asked him to call in. I've asked him to call in on air. I went in the chat and just invited him to call in. I hate when they won't call in. You know,
I mean again, this. I'm not taking the shot at him.
Yeah, no,
I'm not taking a shot at him.
I legit like want to know.
Have I ever been involved in a boxing promotion related negotiation or deal? No, but have you?
Call in and let us know.
I've had it verified by independent sources in the industry.
Great.
So what are your sources?
Yeah, I mean,
what are your sources?
I mean, I hate.
I mean, I've talked to promoters before, off record, okay, off record, but that doesn't mean anything. If if I can't reveal my source, then that's just too convenient. So this is what he said. I've had it verified by independent sources in the industry. What's an independent source in the industry? What is that?
Eddie Hearn.
What is considered no one's an independent source in the industry. Everybody is connected to somebody.
And Cameron, you called in before, so just call in again, man. Just come on.
Have you ever been involved in a boxing promotion related negotiation or deal? No, but but you could say the same for everyone on YouTube that's making boxing videos. None of us have. None of us have. None of us have. That's fucking crazy.
All right, let's go here. Now, our train wreck Beeb. It's time.
Brianna! Let's go, baby.
And then we're going to get to area code 805 here because I know he's been waiting for a while. He's been on almost since the beginning of the show. Is that Nacho?
And that's Nacho, and he's a good call.
All right. And you just drowned out Brianna. You just drowned out Brianna. Beeb, have her do it again.
Brianna, do it again because Robbie was talking over you, please.
I'm sorry.
He's a little amped up right now. I got him amped up. There you go, baby.
There you go. I'm sorry. There you go.
All right.
Go ahead, Eric.
All right. Deontay Wilder makes a comment about Brazil's son, Dominic Brazil. So Deontay Wilder gave an interview to Fight Hype this week, and the topic of Dominic Brazil came up. And here's what he had to say. Quote, we already know what Dominic Brazil is doing. He's trying to talk me into fighting him, which is not working. My mind is already made up on that Brazil fight. And when it do happen, this is his words, not mine. When it do happen, I'm going to make sure he brings his son on stage to look the man in the eyes that's going to cripple his daddy. That's his words.
That's horrible.
Not awful.
He can't even speak proper English, man. Come on.
Well, that's part of the horribleness of it. But the other part is that, he's going to bring his son on he said he's going to cripple Brazil.
Yeah.
My
God, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Real special there.
And not to mention, you'll remember we a couple of months ago, I think it was a month or so ago, he said that I guess he was on a radio show and he said that he wanted a body on his record, meaning he wants to kill somebody in the ring.
Yeah.
So,
and not only that, remember the last time he fought in Alabama, him and Brazil got in that big brawl. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, his family was involved and everything. His kids were out there. It was awful, man.
Yeah.
What's the matter with people? I don't get it. All right. Let's go to, I believe this is Nacho, right, Robert? 805?
Yeah, 805, Nacho.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nacho, what's happening?
Nothing much. I actually went to the card last night.
Which one?
The Golden Boy card at the Avalon.
All right, so you didn't experience any of the stopping or anything like that the internet users had?
Up close, account. As far as the undercard fights, they were okay. All things considered, there was a bunch of prospects that Golden Boy was showing. The one I was really looking forward to was the co-main with Navarro and Allen, and that fight turned out to be pretty entertaining with both guys getting their licks in here and there up until about the 6th round when Navarro was able to start landing a lot cleaner shots and he was able to hurt Allen, and he dropped him at the end of the 6th round, and I couldn't believe that the referee did not count it as a valid knockdown because Navarro hits him with a shot right on the right at the bell, and Allen starts to walk to his corner, and he basically falls down almost face first. And I was like, wait, why isn't he issuing a count? He just let Allen get up and walk directly back to his corner without issuing a count, considering that he had just gotten hit with a punch right at the bell. So that should have been a knockdown. They should have counted, and they didn't count it, which I was totally surprised that, you just let him walk back to his corner. And then after that, Navarro knew he was pretty much not recovered, and he went after him, and he got him, trapped him in the corner, and took him out pretty spectacularly. So it was a good win for Navarro. It'll be interesting to see who they move him up against next. And Allen didn't do too bad, so hopefully he'll get another shot on TV again sometime soon. As far as the main event, it was an entertaining fight at times. Sometimes it was kind of it had its dead spots as well. My only issue was I don't have a problem with Diaz having won the fight. My question was, I don't understand the referee who scored that fight 9-3 and the other one who scored it 8-4. I honestly felt that fight was 7-5 at most, and I honestly felt like those two judges who scored it literally were giving every benefit of a doubt to Diaz, which, I mean, it happens, but it was a disservice to Rojas because I thought Rojas did enough to, have won 5 rounds. And maybe you could have made the case that he could have even won more if possible. But for them to score at 9-3 and 8-4, I thought that was completely unfair to Rojas. And hopefully Diaz does give him the rematch, especially since even though he won the fight, he didn't win the belt that he was after because he didn't make weight the day before. So I hope they do make that rematch so we can see if Diaz can make weight this time and try to win that belt. But I wouldn't mind seeing Rojas fight on TV again as long as they can't make the fight against Diaz.
Well, I wonder, is it time for JoJo to move up if he's having issues making weight?
It looked like he claimed in the post-fight interview, Robbie, that something went wrong during his weight cutting process, and that's why he ended up struggling to get down to 126. And he says he's never had that problem before until this fight. But he did tell the interviewer that if he ended up having problems trying to make 26 again, eventually he was going to move up to 30. So I think he kind of knows he doesn't have a whole lot of time left at 26. It's from what he was talking about. So
because JoJo always comes in decent shape, and I've never heard of this before, so that's what I'm wondering. Is it time for him to go to 30?
It might be because looking at him at the weigh-in, he looked like he definitely killed himself to make 26. So I would not be surprised that he moves up to 30 sooner rather than later. It doesn't look like he might stay at 26 too much longer. As far as the fight this weekend coming up, not much to really talk about. I think Jennings beats Demetrenko. I don't think Demetrenko's ever been a legit contender. He's just a guy with a record, and he's fought some names, but every time he stepped up, he's lost. So I don't expect Jennings to lose to this guy. And Jesse Hart should beat Gavronski. Gavronski's just some club fighter that they pretty much picked out to make him look good. So I think Hart should win that fight. As far as the other card, the Tyson Fury card, I've seen Pianeta only fight once, and that was the fight where he got blown out by Klitschko a few years ago. I don't know if you guys got to see that fight. Klitschko knocked him out in 5 rounds, and ever since then I haven't really heard anything about him. So when they said he was Fury's next opponent, I figured they picked him, specifically for the fact that he got knocked out, and maybe they thought he'd be an easy target for Fury to take some more rust off of his game before he gets in there with somebody who can legitimately fight back. And the other fight, I'm still having trouble figuring out who the hell this Luke Jackson guy is, because I've never heard of him. I've never seen him fight. There's like nothing on YouTube about him. So Frampton totally picked some random Australian to fight this weekend, and apparently this guy's been getting under Frampton's skin, because now Frampton's talking about he's going to try to knock the guy out after.
Well, that's why I posed a legitimate question. Who is Luke Jackson, and what did he do to get a title shot?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, Robbie. It's one of those where he must have been ranked high enough to where they could kind of validate it, but outside of that, I don't know who this guy is. I've never seen him fight before, so I'll be interested to see what he brings to the table on Saturday. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And what was I talking about? Oh, the whole thing with is that really going to happen? Like after Fury fights Pianeta this weekend?
I would imagine.
Already officially signed on to fight Wilder?
That we don't know. Nobody's really privy to that. We don't know.
We don't know that, but
Wilder's there.
Since,
Wilder's going to be there.
We suspect since Wilder's going to be there, they're going to announce it after the fight.
Okay. Well, I don't see Fury being ready for that fight, to be honest with you. I think that's a bad mistake on his part. I think he should have taken at least one, if not two more fights before even thinking about getting in the ring with Wilder or anyone else of that caliber. So, I don't get that one. I mean, this sounds like a cash out to me. It sounds like Fury's going for a big payday, knowing that, he might not be able to win that fight. You
don't think Fury's a better boxer than Wilder?
He is, but the problem is that Fury's been knocked down by guys with lesser power, like Steve Cunningham and I can't remember the other guy's name. Some Croatian journeyman put Fury on his ass.
Right, but you got to get hit first.
Guys,
well, Erislandy Lara is a better boxer than Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd just overwhelmed him.
Very true.
I mean, Wilder has that right hand. So all these
I'm afraid of Wilder, man.
Fury, and I'll be interested to see if Fury gets up after getting hit with that right hand. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think Fury should have taken that fight. I think he needs at least a couple more fights to be ready for that one, because he only fought 3 rounds against the last guy. So unless he goes the distance against Pianeta or he goes deep in the fight, it's going to be hard for me to think that having fought, 12, 13 rounds in almost 3 years, is going to have him ready for Wilder. So.
And Wilder has one of the best sleeping pills in boxing, man. Once you get hit with it, you're done. So. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. All he's got to do is land that once on Fury, and it could be over. Because if Fury got knocked down by guys who were smaller, what's he gonna do when he gets hit by a guy who's almost as big as he is?
Yeah.
So,
all right, Nacho.
It'll definitely. All right.
All right, man.
Good call, Nacho.
Good call as usual, man.
Thanks for calling in, man. Good to hear from you, as always.
I like how he goes. He goes to the fights and everything like that. He always listens.
He's a good analyst, man. He can actually be like, he can work for a network. He can just recap fights, man.
Guys, if there's a fight in Southern California, chances are Nacho is there.
He is a pretty good analyst, man. I mean, I noticed like when he'll call up and he'll break the fights down or whatever, I mean, he's pretty good. Yeah,
he's good.
He knows his stuff.
Good.
All right. So before I get to Jason, and Jason, I do apologize here, but we're going to have to go to area code 818. This is Cameron. He's going to let us know exactly how he knows what he knows and all that other good stuff. So
I want to be educated. I want to learn.
I do too.
I want to know.
Welcome to the show, Cameron.
Cameron, how are you, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Robbie? How you guys?
Hi, brother. How you doing?
I only have. I have only a couple of minutes because I'm traveling overseas.
Absolutely.
But I mean, the point is, I want to say, Beeb, I think there is no advantage or disadvantage in the way that business is done. It depends on the nature of the relationship between the promoter and the fighter. I will say so that when I first heard this, I thought, okay, well, I've heard either way. If you think about cases like Floyd or even Canelo, Canelo is technically still, he has his own Canelo promotions as well. So all agreements need to be signed, for example, by Oscar De La Hoya, by Canelo himself, and the other fighter or promoter. Whatever the nature of the relationship is between Joshua and Hearn, it works for them. He seems to have power of attorney to sign the main contract. And what I heard is that the bout agreement is the one that the fighters have to sign. And that is technically often signed almost in some cases even days before the fight is done.
Huh.
The other aspect over here is that there are multiple agreements often involved in big promotions like this. And depending on the nature or the content of the contract, different parties are eligible to sign. It's pretty standard. So I am in the industry. I'm not going to say anything more than that. But I have verified with another promotional company that we've worked with in the past, and they said, yeah, we've seen this before. There's I will say that it's not one that I've seen directly in the work that I do, but, I thought it was interesting. But regardless, the point is that the nature of the relationship, I mean, you could have a situation like Pacquiao, right, where, you have basically Bob Arum's group signing even his endorsement deals. Now, that we know, I think even everyone used to laugh about that stuff because we knew that Manny was being taken to the cleaners, right? I mean, Arum and his people stole millions and millions of dollars from him. I mean, this is fact.
Wow.
But we don't know what the case is with Joshua. What I do know is that he's made tens of millions of dollars. He has major brand appeal in the U.S., even now starting in the U.S., but in the U.K. and other parts of the world, he's huge. So, I mean, the relationship has worked out for him. And the proof is in the pudding as far as the results. There are no advantages or disadvantages of having Hearn have power of attorney or not have power of attorney. But that's just the way it is.
So let me ask you this. Okay, so now I thought that the bout agreement, from what I've always heard anyway, that the bout agreement kind of puts the bout together. And then the contract is something completely different. It goes into specifics and everything like that. And you're saying that is not the case, or that is the case?
So again, a contract can be a purchase order for something can be a contract. It could be sort of which defines a term, like the specific negotiation terms that have been agreed to, like a pre-agreement as well. So the other thing is that both sides have been talking about a contract. And the other thing that I wanted to point out is that we don't know exactly the nature of the agreement. It could be, in many cases, we've seen pre-agreements be signed. That we both agree that this is the venue, this is the projected revenues and the share of the revenues, this is the breakup of the costs, and who will bear what costs. I mean, we've seen situations like that before. A pre-agreement that is signed by all parties with an intent to sign a further memorandum or to actually sign like a master agreement, as it's called. And the agreement is something that's a bout agreement is something that is a little bit more related to what the commissions need and things of that nature for compliance purposes.
Okay, gotcha.
One question.
You have a legal background? I mean, to know all
I
of it.
work with a lot of lawyers. I'm on the business side, but I work very closely with a lot of lawyers.
Cameron, if you don't mind my asking, what exactly is it that you do? Now, I know you said you're involved and you don't want to give your company away, and I completely respect that. But what exactly do you do?
Mm-hmm. Let's call it corporate development.
Okay.
Let me ask you one quick question, Cameron. Obviously, I would never ask you to reveal your sources but so what you're saying is other fighters have similar agreements like this where their promoters do sign contracts with them, or is this just the only situation where you've seen this? Have you seen this with other fighters having their promoters sign their contracts for them?
I mean, I have to say, I haven't personally seen it, but when I asked the people independently, I said, or as you said, the unbiased sources, that's fine. They said, no, it's not uncommon. They have heard of situations.
Oh, okay. So other promoters have verified this then.
Right, exactly. So we weren't specifics, but they said the whole aspect of the power of attorney is not uncommon.
Okay, all right.
Especially in the last 10 years, the reason. So if you look back, the aspect of Floyd having sort of Mayweather Promotions, a lot like even Sean Porter has his own promotional company, right? So it's a relatively recent phenomenon that a lot of these younger fighters, even early on in their careers, they're opening up their own promotional groups. It's kind of like, you know, in NFL, if you guys are big football guys, who was the running back for the Texans, I think? He like took out like stocks on himself or something like that. I mean, a lot of these guys are doing like creative things in terms of making sure that they maximize their value. And again, being in the industry, I'm all for that. I understand the frustration with, it kind of makes me chuckle when I talk to other guys. It does make me chuckle. Like Hearn gets a lot of hate, Joshua gets a lot of hate. Some of it is definitely justified. I think that they are dragging their feet a little bit, but at the end of the day, what I will say again is that even being on the dark side, I suppose, belonging to the evil empire, and you know what is, you know, the famous quote that I both love and hate is, boxers like prostitutes are in the business of ruining their bodies for the pleasure of complete strangers. I mean, it's sad, but it's true, right? I mean, it's a horrific sport. So I mean, our responsibility, even being part of the evil empire, as you will, is to maximize the value that the fighters generate over their careers. Because at the end of the day, I will say this: it's very easy to say, oh, like he's a fucking coward and he's not going to fight XYZ fighter and he's ducking him. It's easy to say that. But at the end of the day, after 10, 12 hard years, when you're done fighting and it's time for you to just relax and enjoy the spoils, the effort from the results of your hard-earned efforts, then I would say that, you know, those same people who would champion you as being this guy who would fight the best, what does that get you? They're not going to put money in your account. At best, in your hometown, that gets you a free beer at some diner or a free breakfast on Sundays. I'm being honest because we've seen horror stories in boxing. For every Floyd, there's 100 boxers you've never even heard of who are out, they're out on the streets. And we've seen this over and over again. So I will say, I do understand the frustration with Hearn, and a lot of it is justified. But at the end of the day, these guys have to make as much money as they can in as short a time as possible. And Joshua, at the point that he is in his career at age 27, 28, I mean, he is a superstar, a megastar. And the money that he makes from these contracts, I mean, it doesn't even take into consideration what he's making outside of the ring with all these endorsement deals. I mean, he's on billboards all over the UK. I mean, Hearn has done a very good job of putting money in his pocket, and ultimately that's what a promoter is for. Sorry for the rant.
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. We appreciate it, man. Hey, we appreciate you calling in.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Very good, man. Now, I know you've called here before, so don't be afraid to call in, man.
I mean, I really enjoy your show.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a smaller show compared to some of the other ones that are out there, but I
How dare you?
You know, I really like the passion. I know Beeb and I get into it from time to time, but
yeah.
You know, Joe's a great guy, and you guys, Eric and Ringside Robert, you guys are. I really enjoy the passion, and all the, you guys really put a lot of dedication to the sport, and it makes, for guys like me, it makes me just feel good, that we got the hardcores,
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, well,
definitely
yeah,
appreciate
And
it.
I like when people call in that can actually teach me something. That I have no problem with people calling in and, hey, Beeb, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that. Because it's not about me being wrong. It's about me knowing the truth. I just want to know the truth.
That's why we're here. We want to get to the bottom.
And Joe, I will apologize. I kind of flew off the handle a little bit over there, but it's not about. I mean, frankly, even for me, being on this side of the table, there's a lot of things that I need to call up the lawyers and legal department and check with them and see, hey, like, guys, does this make sense? Have you guys seen something like this before? I mean, it happens a lot, but hey, we're all here to learn, right? And
well, I consider this a plum for our show because each week when we come on here, we try to talk about the truth and nothing but the truth. And when people like Jason call up and make things up about 22-ounce gloves or anything else, we try to make sure that that kind of thing doesn't, because we're not about spreading rumors. We want to report facts. So even though you can't reveal who you work for or what you do, we appreciate the fact that you wanted to take the time to actually call and set it straight, because we don't want to be part of making up things that ain't true.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
and like I said, I mean, we had a disagreement. You called in. I mean, you're not a keyboard warrior.
No, and you're not the only person that has said that it has happened before, and other fighters have the same situation. That's why I prefaced my comment with that.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
No,
for
but,
sure.
and the reason why I think, Joe, you have a very valid point, because the aspect of precedent is really, really important. And if you consider the idea that 10 years ago, right, even 10, 12 years ago, the idea of fighters, while they're fighting, sort of having their own promotional rights, right? Like, really, Oscar De La Hoya was one of the first really major fighters to do this while being kind of at the peak of his powers. 15 years ago, if someone had had a discussion like that, we would have been like, get the hell out of here. Like, that's impossible. So the paradigm is always changing. And there's going to be situations where, you bring up a point that maybe I don't know about, because like I'm used to one way of working. And the truth is that as time goes on, people figure out more and more ways of being creative, and especially from a business operations standpoint, or even from a fighter standpoint. There could be a situation where the commissions change and requirements change. It's a living and breathing situation. But as far as precedent, from what I have heard, it's not uncommon. And I will say that the key point is, Joe raised a great point. There is no advantage or disadvantage that I can see in terms of the level of power that Eddie Hearn seems to have over Joshua's career. But I will say that I would be extremely surprised if Eddie and Anthony weren't talking about these types of things. The specifics to say X, Y, and Z, and I'm signing this. Is that cool? Yes, it's cool. Let's go for it, kind of a deal. At least I hope. But hey, crazier things have happened, and this is, as I mentioned, it is a horrific sport that creates magical moments.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Well, Cameron, thank you so much for your time. Thank you
All
for
right.
calling in. Thank you for
brother.
these, man, and thank you for listening, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
You too.
Take care. God
Yeah.
bless. Okay. Bye-bye.
Good call.
Good call. And everyone that says if you call in that Beeb's gonna yell over you and scream at you and he thinks he's right all the time, that's not the case. What I want is, if you're gonna prove me wrong, then come at me with logic. I don't want to hear I'm an idiot. I don't want to hear I have a head like Herman Munster. I don't want to hear that my mother wears combat boots. I don't want to hear that. Come at me with logic and I will listen to you. If you come on here and you start name calling me, you start making this an ad hominem, exercise, then I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I didn't raise my voice to this gentleman once.
And I'm happy that he actually called in to explain his case, because I can say in the 45 years that I've followed this sport, I honestly learned something today, which is cool.
There you go.
I mean, I even stopped yelling at Jason when he calls in. We're in a different era now where, we have to be politically correct. And I'm not going to take advantage of a mentally challenged person. I have no right to do that. And I've learned the error of my ways. I'm not going to yell at a mentally challenged person ever again. I'm ashamed of myself.
I love how Cameron apologized to Beeb. He said he got out of line. Don't apologize to Beeb.
Don't apologize to me.
Don't apologize to me. To Beeb.
It's not like you called me. Yeah.
He deserves it.
He's a fucking mental case, is what he is.
What's up, JJ?
Robbie, just before we get started, you were saying you don't spread rumors. You spread rumors and big stories all the time. Like 2-3 weeks ago, I remember you were saying.
The kid just come back after 2 weeks of turmoil, and you're going to do this to him. You're going to do this to him. He just came back, and this is how you welcome a kid back.
Clarify that before we went on. Wait, why are you guys speaking all over me, dude? Let me fucking finish. Jesus Christ.
Ooh, there he goes with his Tourette's syndrome. There he is.
There's wildfires everywhere, and the first thing you do.
He left the joint in the backyard. That's his fault. He left the joint in the backyard. That's his fault.
Whoa, buddy. That's defamation right there.
I'm just messing with you. But hey guys, this contract started because 2-3 weeks ago I was trying to tell Eric. I sent Eric a couple of links, and I'm trying to tell Beeb, but he's acting like I'm just making it up. Eddie kept going to IFL and Fight Hub and saying Wilder's not taking us seriously. So what AJ came up to me and said, let's just sign the contract and let's put my pen to paper and put my name on it so he thinks it's serious. So Eddie himself said this on IFL Fight Hub that we're going to send him a contract and AJ's sign is going to be on it. Nobody else said that AJ needs to sign it and send it. Eddie himself said it. Then Ness asked him the other day, So Shelly Finkel said, you guys never sent a signature. He said, oh, I never said AJ's going to sign it. When Eddie himself said it on video multiple times. So all this bullshit, this fucking guy that said on this last caller, none of that really made any sense because Eddie's the one himself who said AJ would put the pen to paper and sign his name on the contract. So I don't know why you guys are going all this shit.
Source.
I didn't say Nestor is my source, dude. What are you talking about? I said Eddie himself said it on IFL TV with his own mouth that AJ would sign the contract. Robbie, is it that complicated? That's the source?
But you brought up Ness, and he's not a good source.
Yeah, Ness asked him 2 days ago, why didn't AJ sign the contract like you said he would? He said, then Eddie turned around and said, I never said he would sign the contract. Just totally lied.
And you know what? I have to defend Jason. Jason, I have to defend you here because I've heard several interviews that Eddie said, yeah, we're going to send the contract over with Anthony Joshua's name on it. I mean, did you hear that too, Eric, during interviews on YouTube? I don't know. I've seen them.
2 weeks ago, he said exactly that. AJ told me personally that I need to put my name on the contract so he thinks we're serious.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that interview.
Yeah.
I do remember that interview. That's why I was baffled. That's why I was baffled with this recent news. That's why I was baffled.
But Beeb, I told you, Beeb, you can't be baffled because I'm not baffled because he lies about everything. You can't be baffled because I kind of.
I'm an optimist. You're a hater. There's a difference between our thought processes.
Big difference. Big difference.
You don't want fights to happen because you don't like certain promoters. I want all the great fights to happen.
I'm not going to take his word for anything, really. I'm not going to take his word for anything if I catch him in lies every week.
Yeah, he does contradict himself an awful lot. That's why it's hard to take him serious.
I mean, look, here's the deal. I mean, he's in a fighter's camp. They all do the same thing. Promoters will favor their fighter. I don't know why this is so shocking.
No, you're right. You're right. But when you're in front of 1,000 cameras a day giving interviews, right? You gotta kind of stay on track. You gotta keep with the theme. You can't keep switching things up and saying things and then contradicting them. And of course, you're supposed to defend your fighter. But you got to be a little bit more strategic in how you put yourself out there.
Right. Go ahead, Jason. What?
He loves the camera too much. He's like fucking fame hungry. Like he can't do 5 interviews. He has to do 50. Like he's obsessed with his listening to himself on camera. Like Aram does interviews too. He talks a lot of shit, but he doesn't do like 50 interviews every day and contradicts everything he says in the last interview. So that's the difference.
Yeah, but
watching himself on videos.
At the same time, we love the fact that he does so many interviews because he's out there. He's accessible. We promote it.
And I don't mind that. I don't even, Eric, I don't even mind if AJ didn't sign it. This is the fucking guy who said AJ would sign it. So I'm like, why are people believing him now when he said 2 weeks ago AJ is the one who's going to sign it, and now he's saying I never said that? How are you going to believe this guy when he's the one who said AJ would sign it? That's all.
Who's believing?
Everybody. People are like, oh, this happens all the time. He can sign it. There's no big deal. But he's the guy who said AJ would sign it. That's all. That's what Shelly Finkel said. That if you tell
maybe it does happen all the time, but Hearn did not indicate that it was going to happen when it did, because Hearn, misspoke. Could it have been an accident? I don't know, but he did misspeak.
Really, Beeb.
If this was a court of law, Jason. We have to look at reasonable doubt. We have to look at reasonable doubt. And if Eddie Hearn was on the stand, he could say I misspoke, and he would probably, get over on that. That's all I'm saying. Whether I'm always skeptical of anything that comes out of his mouth. That's why I said what I said today. But I can't factually say, I can't make a statement like, this is never done in the sport if I don't know for a fact. I can't make that statement.
I never said that. I never said it's never done. I'm just saying, Eddie. Okay, Beeb, you were gonna hold on one second. This AJ. Fuck, man, I just lost my thought.
Yeah, he's got.
Of course, you lost your thought because you're up against a mental giant here.
His mom needs to clean real quick.
even in Ness's interviews, he said, "I'll give Spence and Danny $7 or $8 million to fight. Come on the zone." Then Ness is like, so you're really like 10 minutes later, another video Ness did. So you were just telling me you'll give Mikey and Danny. He said $8 million. He said maybe 8, maybe 6, something like that. We'll work something out. So that's the kind of guy Eddie is. Like he's a bragger. He just brags about everything. Then once you push him and try to nail him down, he's like, I said 8, 10 minutes ago. Now it's 6. Now it's 5. So that's the kind of guy he is. So I mean, I don't really take anything he said seriously, and I'm not really blaming AJ for not signing the contract, but they don't want the fight. So it makes sense that they didn't sign AJ's contract signature on there. Just like AJ told Kellerman after the Vlad fight, I will not be rushed to fight Wilder till 2019 or 2020. And that's what I told Beeb like a year ago. And he had to block me on Facebook because I was telling too much truth. And now
no, I blocked you on Facebook because you made fun of my mother who's dead. That's why I blocked you on Facebook.
Why would you do that?
My mother's been dead. My mother's been dead since 2014. And I told you she passed away. And you were still making derogatory statements towards her, and I had to block you.
No, I didn't.
No, I mean, if you want to put people on blast, let's pull back the curtain. You know?
Should do Eric all the time. I would never mention his mom about it.
He's a fucking mental case.
Well, maybe you have to stop pulling up screenshots. So maybe you have to stop pulling up screenshots because it'll get ugly here.
Beeb, did you
Robbie's
see
giving him
all
the
of
hook.
Eddie's videos on Boxing Voice? Did you see him? All his interviews?
No, we don't watch it.
No, Beeb. I'm talking to Beeb. Beeb, did you watch him?
No, he didn't watch it.
I did watch some of them. I'm not gonna lie. I watch everything. I watch everything. And here's another thing. I will say that the interviews were good interviews. They were good interviews.
But listen. Did you notice one thing? The 6 or 7 videos Ness posted are all about PBC fighters. This fucking idiot can't even mention his own bums that he signed. He's just mentioning PBC guys. He can't even promote fucking Vargas and Delorme. He's just talking about Wilder.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was saying the same thing. In one token, he's sitting there saying how crappy the PBC was and how they failed and they did this and that and the third. Meanwhile, he wants to take all of their fighters. And he still wants to work with Al Heyman in the process.
First 2-3 events, do you remember? What events PBC put on first, the flagship events? Do you remember how they started?
Do I remember how they started? PBC started off pretty strong in the beginning, I thought.
Huh?
I said I thought PBC started off pretty strong in the beginning.
No, but I'm saying like what kind of cards they put together. Do you guys remember what fighters fought in the first 2-3 fights, like Broner and?
No, I don't. I don't remember off the top of my head. With the. Can you tell me?
Like that, Robbie? Do you remember?
I don't think Robbie cares.
I'm right. What did you say, Jason? Sorry.
Do you remember?
Son.
Like Vargas versus Delorme.
Robbie said he was falling asleep.
No, the first event was Keith Thurman and Robert Guerrero.
Isn't that a lot better than Vargas and Delorme? And these people have the nerve to bash PBC? Is that what he was saying? And I agree with him.
Yeah.
Jason, the problem. I don't have a problem with PBC. I don't have a problem with PBC, but I will tell you this. When PBC first came out, the theme was, we are going to bring boxing back to free TV. That was the theme. Now, I was excited about that. I thought it was cool. Either way, I'm going to watch it. I don't care if it's on Nickelodeon. I'm going to watch boxing. Doesn't matter what channel it's on. But the problem is, they started out with a mission statement. And if you want to look at what their mission statement was, we're going to bring boxing back to free network television. And full circle, what happened? They're right back where they started for the most part. All of their big cards are on Showtime.
Beeb,
they lost CBS. They lost NBC. They lost ESPN. So I'm going to tell you right now.
Hold on, before you go.
They did fail in one aspect of their goal. Now, the fact that they're still around and they're still making big fights, that's all that matters to me, and that's all that what should really matter to everyone out there. But
let me respond, Beeb. Let me respond.
Let him finish.
But they did fail, though. They did fail with that aspect. They lost some deals.
Yeah,
they did lose some deals.
What would have happened if this started off PBC with Vargas versus Delorme? We should be thankful what they gave us. I mean, if this started off like Eddie, we'd be fucked.
But they're on
Showtime. Oh, I mean,
they gave us Miller versus Adamek.
Right, but his point is they're back on Showtime, right where they started.
They are back on Showtime, right where they started.
Beeb, they're working on a long-term deal with Fox. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, but what did you say? They have to come on Showtime to do it.
What are you talking about, dude? Let me talk to Beeb real quick.
That's what you say.
Beeb,
That's what you say.
Fox deal? Fox wants exclusive rights from BBC. They don't want them to go on Showtime anymore.
That's great. That's great. That's great. But I will tell you this. I will tell you this. I will tell you this. This is what I will tell you. This is what I will tell you, in my opinion. And again, I stress my opinion. I think Bob Arum has the best deal because ESPN is the largest sports network in the world. So if you want to reach out to as many homes as possible, and also this, people who are watching ESPN are looking for sports. Boxing is a sport.
Fox is at 100 million homes also, same as ESPN. Fox and ESPN, 100 million homes.
But Fox is not predominantly a sports channel, and they are not bigger than ESPN worldwide.
Yeah, but PBC has way better talent than ESPN and Top Rank, right?
PBC, yes, they have a bigger roster, without question. Without question.
Also, they said Beeb, they said they'll give them Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, and Deportes. So, but
that's great. But again, if you gave me a choice, if I was the promoter, and I had two networks on the table, Fox or ESPN, I'm going to be honest with you, I'd rather have ESPN. That's just me.
They have Fox or Showtime. They don't have ESPN, Beeb. They have Fox or Showtime. They don't have ESPN. They have Fox or Showtime on the table. And Showtime doesn't have.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, if you gave me a choice to choose Fox or ESPN, let me ask you this, Jason. Let me ask you an unbiased. I want your unbiased. Let me ask you a question. I want your unbiased answer.
Guys, one at a time.
If you had a choice, would you rather be? You're a promoter. Which network would you pick, Fox or ESPN?
But Beeb,
answer the question. Answer the question.
A long-time ESPN connection.
What was the question?
Answer the question. If you had a choice to choose one network, and you were a promoter, and you had Fox on the table or you had ESPN on the table, you had to choose one. Which one would you take?
But nobody has that choice. Nobody has.
I'm asking you a hypothetical question.
I don't do hypotheticals. I live in the real world.
Oh, because it will not support your PBC argument.
Right.
Beeb wins again.
I'm crying, Robbie. Relax. Jesus Christ. Stop crying all the time.
Oh, now you want to stop making fun of Robbie. The guy just came off a traumatic experience. He has the right to cough once or twice if he wants to.
With you. Yeah, right?
For Christ's sakes.
Hey, did you guys see Dan
you were under the trauma that he was under, you wouldn't even be here right now.
He said what now? What did Dan Raphael say?
Dan Raphael, like he's so fucking biased towards the ESPN Plus app. Like Golden Boy, they had some glitch last night, and he's like fucking tearing them apart. Like after just one night, I thought it was a decent night, but I mean sometimes shit happens. But he was going off on them. I mean I remember ESPN Plus went down also for the Andy Ruiz fight, and Dan was like, "Oh, this is a new company, it happens," and he went total opposite last night. So that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. The ESPN app went out on me a few times for Crawford. What's his name? Jeff Horn. Well, you know what happened to me?
Buy DAZN, Beeb. Wait till you buy DAZN. This even.
Oh, but listen to this. Listen to this.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
Listen to this, Jason. I was watching the Crawford Horn fight. Can I tell my story, please? Calm down. I'm going to let you back in. Just let me. I want to tell my story real quick.
Go ahead.
I was watching Crawford Horn, and I was Chromecasting it to the television set, and it kicked me out like twice, and I had to recast it to the television. It was very glitchy. I was pissed off a little bit.
There you
go. Fucking people on Canadian customers that buy DAZN for soccer and NFL, they said they don't even have HD streams. It's like non-HD streams and lagging all the time. So
I heard the quality of the streams were kind of shitty. I did hear but I will say this. I will say this, that Eric maybe can attest to this as well because he has it. That ESPN Plus app has really, really good quality, no?
Yeah, it does.
Really nice. It's got great.
Not to mention, you can watch stuff live. You can watch stuff live, and you can watch stuff. Obviously, but there's multiple events going on. So, like at 8:00, there's multiple sporting events going on that app. So you can watch like multiple things. It's not just like you have to dial into one. Like on HBO, you can only watch one thing. Here, you can watch multiple.
Hey
things,
guys,
which is
Eric, did you guys hear about Burchell versus Roman? They said that fight might be going to Showtime. Did you guys hear that?
Who cares? Who cares?
Why not, dude? If the winner will fight Tank, right? Burchell, if he wins, he can fight Tank on Showtime.
Tank's got his own problems with TJ Dillashaw. Did you hear about that?
No, but also I was gonna say, did you hear how Nacho kind of tried to sweep under the rug of Jojo Diaz's weight problems? I remember you guys used to bash Tank. You're like Tank.
I didn't hear Nacho do that. I didn't hear him do that at all. I didn't hear him try to sweep that under the rug.
Nacho wasn't trying to sweep that under the rug. No,
why would Nacho try to sweep that under the rug?
He did. What they said.
Can I finish? Jesus
no, because
Christ,
you're talking nonsense.
Jesus Christ, dude. Can I finish?
You will take a shot at Nacho any chance you get. The kid never says too.
He said JoJo has some trouble cutting weight. That's what all the fighters do. Tank, Broner.
He said that's what he said. No, you're wrong.
JoJo. Why not?
You're wrong.
Wow.
What he said was that's what he said. He said that's what he said in the press conference after the fight.
Yeah, fighters lie about all the time.
He's right, but what my point is, but you're attacking. Right, but my point is, you're attacking Nacho.
Just like Tank and Broner.
Right, but my point is, you're attacking Nacho for something that he didn't say. Why?
I just want these Mexican fans to bash their Mexican fighters like
you can't say that. That is not.
Bash him too.
Listen. Why does he have to be a Mexican fan? Why can't he just be a fan? We don't put labels on people on this show. We're all human beings. We're all human beings. Please. Don't take it there. Don't take it there, baby. The country's already divided enough. The country's already divided enough.
At least he goes to the fights. When have you ever gone to a fight?
I don't have fights in local areas. Robbie, stop crying.
There's nothing in Georgia, Robert. There's nothing in Georgia except peanuts and peaches, son. He's got nothing over there. Once you play, let me tell you what. Once you play checkers over there, the day is pretty much shot.
Way better than fucking Ohio.
Yeah, sure it is, buddy. Yeah, title town, son. Yeah.
What title?
Yeah.
You guys have no title. What title?
Jesus
Christ. Stop calling yourself Title Town. That's
such an insult. If you want to really know what a title town is, it's Beantown, baby. The Patriots.
Yeah,
Beantown. Celtics.
Second. Beantown's a good second. Beantown's a good play. He dropped. We didn't hang up on you, Jason. Jason dropped. So
he dropped? Oh, great. So I mean, that was horrible. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, that was a terrible call.
Let's give him another free call afterwards because of the cell quality.
Cell died.
Cell died. Oh my God. What's going on there? That trap phone doesn't work anymore?
From this day, you'll be my new fool.
Georgie.
Here's my man. This is a real caller here, baby. This is a real caller. First class, baby. First class.
That nonsense.
First class. Let's bring some normalcy back to the show. Let's shine the light on this now, baby. Now that the darkness has flown over us.
Anyway, what's up, Georgie?
Really disappointed, man. Gotta follow fucking Jason talking about ESPN's owned by Jews, Mexican tacos.
Okay, I mean, YouTube may take this video down because of that mini rant of his.
What happened with human race?
They make them special in the South. What can we say, George?
Whoa! Whoa!
Down the rabbit hole.
And you know what? I can say that because I lived in South Carolina for 10 years. And I guarantee you, they make them special in the South.
Oh my God, this is madness. Listen, talking about madness, what's going on with this Eddie Anthony Joshua Hayes? Can we stop it, Beeb? Can we stop it?
What's up, baby?
What's going Listen, what's going on with this situation about power of attorney?
Again, I'm just trying to learn. I don't know. I'm not in the contract business. I don't know. I asked a legitimate question. I wanted someone to explain it to me. I just wanted someone to explain it to me. I didn't say.
Is that? I mean, there is no way that Don King didn't sign a couple fucking fights for fighting himself. This power of attorney must exist.
Yeah, now that Cameron's called, Georgia, it must, because you're right. Don King would control everything.
No, but what Don King did do, I'm going to tell you a Don King story.
Promoter, and every time he say you want fighting somebody, Like he told Santos not to fight Rigondeaux at the beginning.
Can I tell you a Don King story? Did you hear that Don King story when Muhammad Ali was in that big lawsuit? Muhammad Ali was in that big lawsuit with him, then he brought the paper in and he had Muhammad Ali sign the paper, and he got out of the lawsuit, and Muhammad Ali lost millions of dollars because Don King gave him a couple $100,000 instead because he gave him a suitcase of cash.
Yep.
You hear that story?
Yep.
And he had a sign. So
and he
I don't
did
know.
the same shit to Chavez too. He fucked up Chavez in a few fights too. So I mean, I think there is a precedent. Oh,
and then Don King, and then fighters used to say, oh, Don King would bring me something to sign, and he would only show me the first page, and then I would ask where's the rest of it, and he said, oh, you don't need to see that, and they would sign it, not knowing what the rest of the contract was. So they were signing stuff back then. I mean, that's what I'm going by.
Yeah. Well, there's multiple stories, Beeb, of Don King taking briefcases to fighters' houses and dropping it off and having money in there, and he'd get out all kinds of things that way.
Yeah, you never seen money in your life. So
I don't know.
right in your hand.
And listen,
you know,
we're trying to follow what Beeb would call the empirical evidence, trackable, tangible evidence, like in a contract.
Yeah.
That's if we go that route. But as a hardcore boxing fan, we know the type of back deal these people do.
Yeah.
It's not on paper. So, I mean, we cannot be underestimating the power of these mafias.
Oh, I
contract or not.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I asked the gentleman to call in and explain himself.
I don't know how many times Don King sent fucking late breakers.
Well, hey, Georgie, Georgie, that's why we're glad the guy
called. No, I'm not talking about Don King. What I'm saying is the other situation you were talking about. I honestly did not know that, and the gentleman that called in, I asked him to explain it to me. I didn't say I was right or wrong. I said I never heard of it. Can you explain to me if that is the case? And if that is the norm nowadays, because I did not know. Do I know what Don King did? Oh, absolutely. Without question, I know what Don King did. He didn't do a lot of good things.
We know the situation, and I mean, it ain't no doubt on my mind that it's something on those lines do exist, but not to keep beating the same dog all night. Listen, that Fury Wilder fight, that shit's dead on arrival, brother. Anybody thinking that shit's gonna be a pay-per-view success and this and that, baby, you dreaming.
Well, remember, Georgie, it'll be pay-per-view in the UK, but we'll get to
it
in the US.
I think it'll do good in the UK, Georgie. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna be on pay-per-view here, but I think in the UK it'll be on pay-per-view. And I think it will do pretty good in the UK.
I don't think people love Fury in the UK that much. I don't think it's the same love that they got for AJ.
I don't think so either, but
I may say that they hate him a little bit.
Well, that's the thing, though. When you're hated, you get a lot of attention too. So
because remember, Georgie, how many of us would buy Floyd pay-per-views to see him lose?
And again,
no, baby,
you don't know. Nobody knows.
It happens. It haven't happened before.
But listen to this, Georgie.
When people saw, Fury fight Klitschko, they want to see him win. This time around, after the coke, and he makes some comments on YouTube on whatnot, kind of racist sort of shit. Well, I think he's a gypsy, whatnot. And people sort of remember things like that.
But this is the thing.
We had the train wreck of the week today, talking about, what was it, mutilating somebody in front of his kid or some shit like that?
Yeah, Brazil.
Yeah. But Georgie, this is the thing.
Those type of shit hang around people's mind when they make decisions.
But Georgie, here's the thing. Fury, won the title. And right after he won the title, there was a lot of attention around him. And now that he's gone for 3 years and he's coming back, I think the UK fans are curious now about Fury. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's good to have Fury back." Like a lot of people are excited about the comeback of Tyson Fury, and he may not be in Anthony Joshua status right now, but I think a lot of people are still interested.
But the comeback from what?
George, he came back because he got addicted to cocaine.
But people love to see a story like that. The guy was all in dire straits, had a drug addiction problem. You know, he was obese, and people want to see someone that has fallen from grace come back from that. It's a story, Georgie. I think people are interested in it. A lot of people are talking about it.
God bless your soul, Beeb.
I should be a PR guy, but you know.
Listen, when I say come back from what, I mean when he fought Klitschko haven't lost in fucking years and dominated for like a whole decade. So Klitschko, he still was the top of the division right there when he beat him. But the way he beat him was garbage.
Oh, it was a masterclass performance. It was a masterclass boxing lesson. 9 rounds to 3, easy.
It ain't like Fury is on top of exciting heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? So these sex appeal that people see in Fury, I don't even know where the fuck it comes from because they do just big.
So are you telling me next Saturday night you're not going to turn on Show Extreme to watch Tyson Fury?
You know he's watching that fight, man.
No.
You know he's watching that fight, man. Come on.
I'm watching Fury. Listen, Fury just be fighting bombs and shit in these so-called comebacks.
Come on, man. You're not going to watch Tyson Fury?
Quality matches.
Come on, man.
What Tyson Fury did to Vladimir Klitschko is more impressive than what anyone's ever done to him, and I'll tell you why. No one's ever outboxed Klitschko. He's never been outboxed, and he's only lost by knockout in his whole career. Why? Because of his stamina, because of conditioning issues. He was never ever outboxed like that ever. He never lost a decision in his life.
What do you throw, like 80? What do you land, like 80 punches in that fight or something ridiculous?
It was 86 punches to 53, Eric.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury put his hands behind his back and stuck his face in Klitschko's face, and he still couldn't hit him.
Basketball score, 86 to 53 total.
That's what was like saying. People hitting with dusters and shit. Nobody threw a solid punch, and you're going to tell me that Sanka is more impressive than fucking AJ dropping Klitschko 3 times.
Yes.
Mind,
it wasn't more exciting, maybe. It wasn't more exciting, but it was more impressive.
Very lucky to get up from
that. But he got up and dropping 3 times. That's more impressive than the so.
No, it's more exciting. It's more exciting. It's not more impressive because Tyson Fury beat a guy that hasn't lost in 10 years, a guy that wasn't off for 2.5 years, and he beat a guy by decision, and he probably lost 2 or 3 rounds in the process.
Listen, this is the question. Based on those performances against Klitschko, who will people like to pay for?
Oh,
Joshua.
Joshua. Yeah.
Joshua.
Easy question, yeah.
Everybody will like Joshua, Georgie.
Joshua, yes.
That's the whole thing right there. Based on the performance, that's it. Nobody want to see go fucking Fury throw that bullshit jab.
Get about. All right. Georgie. Forget about what was more exciting. What would you rather watch? Let me ask you a question. The Klitschko that Tyson Fury fought that hadn't lost in 10 years, that never ever lost a decision, that was only knocked out. That was his only means of losing fights was by knockout. So this guy comes along. He's a 4-1 underdog. Okay? 4-1 underdog. And you remember, I was the only guy that picked him. You remember for years I was saying that he was going to beat Klitschko. and I got laughed at, right? You notice how I have to throw myself into this conversation because that's how I am. I have a little self-centered. But going back to the topic, this was a guy that lost probably 2 or 3 rounds to Klitschko. He was in no danger of losing that fight at all, ever. He dominated him. Okay? So, in that regard, that was more impressive than what Joshua did.
Beeb.
That was way more impressive than what Joshua did.
Beeb, I don't know what fight you watch about Fury dominating Klitschko. Those rounds could have go either way.
No.
Either way. Most of the round, all these motherfuckers was
No. Fury was boxing his ears off.
Listen, the only thing that gave Fury the victory was his ring generalship.
Exactly.
More effective punches. But he was whipping him.
Georgia, you're making Beeb's point for him.
I understand that, but they were close rounds. They couldn't swing.
No, there was no way. There was no way you could have given Klitschko those rounds because he was the guy that was missing by a mile.
I completely got shut down in that fight. That's what made it impressive.
That's right.
So you guys said that he shut him down?
Yes. Whoever did that, what Joshua did to Klitschko, was done 4 other times.
Yeah.
What Fury did to Klitschko was never done in 60 fights. Never.
And Georgia, I guarantee you, if you asked Vladimir Klitschko which was the worst loss of his career, he would openly probably tell you Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury caused him so many problems.
That was the most one-sided loss in his career. When has he ever been in a 12-round fight where he's only won 3 rounds? When has that ever happened before? He won more rounds against Joshua than he did against Fury in 11 rounds.
Yeah.
Listen, that fight hopefully happens. Let's see if it happens. Hopefully Wilder fight Fury. Will anything happen? I just want to get that over with because that's not a fight that I'm interested on. Everybody want to see the AJ versus Wilder. Hopefully in 2019 happens. Besides that, I don't have a lot to say because there ain't shit going on in boxing right now. So I'm going to let you guys go. Everybody,
all right, see you, George.
Over that thumb up. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Boy, Robbie's quick to give people the hook tonight, isn't he? All right, we'll see you later, buddy. All right, we got to go.
Especially Jason, man. I'm glad he dropped himself because, man, if I would have had control of that switchboard, he would have been out of there.
Yeah.
I don't even think you would have went to him if you had control of the switchboard. You would have freaking dropped him off the switchboard.
Just let him stay on hold for the entire show.
You would block him. You would block his number.
No, I wouldn't do that.
All right. Area code 760. You're live.
That's Mr. Brian. How are you, sir?
Brian.
Homies. Hey, good to hear from you, Rob, man. Everything good with you?
Yeah, everything's good. I know you're dealing with wildfires in your area. Do you have any trouble down where you are?
Yeah, they just cleared it up. All the smoke and everything was coming out towards where I'm at. But, yeah, that's what we dealing with out here, fires.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
California fires. But, man, I'm glad to hear everything straight.
90 seconds.
Good to hear. I just wanted to get that.
All right.
That's real quick. But,
well, I know you're calling in because we're talking about the heavyweights, and I know that's your favorite subject. So
you already know.
Yeah.
we got Tyson Fury against Wilder. I think this will be a good matchup for Wilder. You know, as far as fighting against somebody with that kind of boxing ability. You know, I was listening to what Georgie was saying about what you know, when
60 seconds.
And you know, if you looking at it, you know, in a sense of entertainment, you ain't gonna find no entertainment out of that fight unless you find Fury clowning Klitschko pretty entertaining, you know. But,
yeah. But remember,
Tyson,
we remember, Brian, he's got to win this weekend, so we can't put the Wilder fight on the table yet. He's got to win on Saturday.
Yeah, you're right about that, but we know he's gonna win.
Yeah, he's gonna win.
We know he's gonna win. This was a fight for him to win, so
yeah,
he's gonna win this. But you know, as far as when they, you know, the Wilder and Tyson Fury, that's gonna be pretty tough for Wilder, man. It is, you know, because one thing Tyson Fury is
10 seconds.
He'll do the same thing in this next fight. Tyson Fury, he got a way of disarming his opponent. That's the word you guys was trying to use. What Tyson Fury did to Klitschko, he disarmed him, you know, because Klitschko couldn't land that right hand he usually lands. He couldn't really get set. Tyson Fury just has this crazy upper body movement along with that length, you know, and just kept him at that reach. I mean, it wasn't like he was beating him up in there, but he just controlled the fight for 12 rounds. I mean, to me, it didn't even look like Klitschko won a round, to be honest. You guys gave him 3 rounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gave him 3? Yeah, it didn't look like that to me, but, you know, this is where Wilder really has to work on his boxing. What you guys think?
Well, the only time, Brian, the only time we've ever seen Wilder actually box is when he beat Stavern the first time around. Nobody's ever really forced him to box since then.
Yeah, he's gonna have to learn how to start shortening up his jabs and try to get on the inside. That's where it takes a little boxing, you know, good angles and just using your legs to dip. Because he's going to be smaller, you know, fighting against Fury. Fury is how big?
It's 6'9".
He's huge, man. And that length he got on that reach, that's what Wilder going to have to learn some boxing. You know what I'm saying? Some pretty technical boxing skills, at least to the point to where he can cut off some of that movement Fury got, you know, to try to score, you know, or go for a knockdown. But, you know, when I watched that fight with Fury, well, first of all, what you guys think about this? I ain't even heard no opinions or nothing because I'm tuning in late.
We think Tyson Fury is going to win this weekend.
Think he's going to win.
But as far as him and Wilder, I don't know. I think it's way too early to tell just because we got to see what he looks like in this coming up on Saturday. We saw what he looked like in the first, his first tune-up. We want to see him in the second tune-up. He's lost a little bit more weight. He looks sharp. He looks fast in the gym. But, you know, we got to see whether that translates to, to the actual fight. I don't know.
Yeah, he'll win. He'll win because he's getting in better shape. You know, he's in way better shape than he was, or at least that's what it looked like so far. It looked like he's in better shape than he was on the last fight. But when is that fight? This weekend coming up?
Yeah, this weekend it'll be on
Showtime. Extreme.
Okay. Well, we'll see how he do. What other fights is coming up?
Well, Carl Frampton will be on that card, and then ESPN's got a card also.
Yeah, nothing too major, but the Tyson Fury fight is going to be the best, the one probably the headliner this weekend.
Oh, okay. So that's all we really got to talk about is that fight. Who is this dude he's fighting? Pianeta? Is he good?
He's lost. He's lost against bigger name opponents, but he's 33. He's got a lot of miles on him. I don't expect him to beat Fury. I expect him to maybe give him a good contest in the sense that he may push him some rounds. But I think he's got a lot of miles on him, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So hopefully he wins, and then they set up that fight with him and Wilder. I just got one more question.
Yeah.
Like on you guys' opinion. If Wilder and Tyson Fury do fight and Wilder beats him, it like as far as the A side with him and AJ, is it gonna be like the same thing even with a Wilder or with Fury on Wilder's resume, will it be the same thing?
Yeah, it will. It will, and I'll give you an example. It will, and I'll give you an example why. Look at Canelo and Triple G. Triple G had all the belt. I mean, he's clearly the better fighter. He's, by far, Canelo's the bigger draw, and here is going to be the same thing. AJ is just the bigger draw. I mean, you can't mess with him when he's drawing 90,000 people in an arena, man. What are you going to say to that?
Can I give my opinion on what the strategy is with this Fury fight?
No. Now go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
I think with what Wilder's doing here is he's trying to debunk a lot of Eddie Hearn's claims, like, oh, the guy's never sold, he's never made more than 2.1 million in a fight. What I'm hearing, rumors, I don't know, again, rumors, he's possibly making 15 for Fury. So then he could turn around and say, well, you're only offering me 15 for Joshua. I got 15 when I fought Fury. So there's one thing he can bring to the table.
Point. That's a real good point.
Yeah. So number two, he'll be on UK pay-per-view. Oh, well, you've never been on pay-per-view before. Well, it's on UK pay-per-view. And if it does, if his fight does more than what Joshua's fight's going to do against Vacant on UK pay-per-view, there's another one he brings to the table. So I think he's using this Fury fight as leverage.
Or more.
Leverage for the Joshua fight. And I'm going to be honest with you. That's why I think the main reason why this fight's happening. And in Fury's case, Fury knows that if he sits down with Joshua, they're gonna bullshit him just like they're bullshitting Wilder. Probably even worse because he doesn't have a belt, right? So he's probably going to get, excuse my language, effed more than Wilder. So he's saying to himself, you know what? I might as well just fight Wilder. I don't want to deal with this guy either. And if I win, then I'm in the driver's seat, and then they got to deal with me, And then I probably can get more money versus Wilder than I can versus Joshua. So why not just jump at this?
No, Fury could really mess this whole mess up, and he could actually go in there and give Wilder a fight and beat Wilder like he beat Klitschko. And then what does Joshua do?
Yeah. So if Wilder's getting a piece of that UK pay-per-view, he can be making a lot of money.
One of these fighters is going to emerge, between Fury and Wilder. One of them, because when you think of, if you've been keeping up with this as long as I have, I've been keeping up with this for a minute. Before Wilder had his belt, when Klitschko had his belt, then he lost. Then Fury took his belt, and then they set up the rematch, and then Fury and Wilder got in the ring face to face, and then here it is years later. It's all these years later. So, man, we finally here. I just hope it comes through. I hope it comes through, man. It's been a long time. This whole thing's been building up anyway, but to me, the two champions in the very beginning was Fury and Klitschko. But either way, whoever wins this fight, it's got to be set up with Anthony Joshua, whether it be Fury, whether it be Wilder. It's not even a lose-lose situation. Whoever loses,
No,
because both of them are big fights. You guys think so? Both of them. If Anthony Joshua fights, either one of them is a big fight.
Yeah, and if Tyson Fury loses to Wilder but can finish the fight on his feet and win rounds, they could do it again. Yep. So
I could see that happening. Everybody's like, kind of I don't even like to hear people discredit Fury for coming in late because he has his skill set. He got his boxing IQ. It's going to be the same type of movement he do. It's going to be the same thing. But, Tyson Fury is capable of winning, for 12 rounds, and Wilder is capable of not getting the knockout. This fight, it could be a surprise on whatever happens, but whatever happens, I think it's still good for Wilder or Tyson Fury. It's good that they're doing this towards each other. It's like a career promotion for each other if they do fight against each other because they need each other right now. You guys agree?
Absolutely. Yep. And I think Beeb brought up the best point, man. I think that's exactly what they're doing is leveling, trying to level the playing field with Tyson Fury. And it's a gamble. If they go ahead and beat Tyson Fury, then all of a sudden he can say, yeah, look at what I did in the UK pay-per-view market. Look what I did here. Look what I did, and that's a big deal. And that may even that playing field a little bit more.
Yeah, he may be able to pull 40% out of that now instead of friggin' 29 or 30.
Instead of the 15% Eddie Hearn is offering him.
Yeah, because he'll have a big UK pay-per-view under his belt, and then he'll have a nice payday under his belt. Oh, my lowest payday is not 2.1 million. I made 20 million. I made 25 million, just like you.
Right.
Let me ask you guys real quick here. Let me ask you guys because Zorro in the chat just brought this up. He said the two biggest pay-per-views this year will be Wilder Fury and Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, okay, for the UFC. And I'll throw another one in there, Canelo Triple G. I think
Canelo Triple G is
ones. Who tops out with the most pay-per-view dollars here?
I think Canelo Triple G by far.
I don't know. McGregor.
Yeah. What did it do last time? What did Canelo Triple G do last time? Did they even do 1.2?
Wasn't it 1.3?
1.3. Yeah.
1.3. I'll tell you what. I think the UFC beats that. I think Conor goes over that.
Yeah, but not in revenue though. Not in revenue though.
I'm talking about in pure pay-per-view buys.
Oh, and pay-per-view buys?
Yes.
Don't you think the Canelo Triple G pay-per-view will do more pay-per-views because of all the controversy this time around?
I don't. I think you want to talk about controversy. I mean, McGregor.
Yeah, Conor. You may be right, Eric. I think that Conor fight Conor fight could do 2 million
across the window with a dolly or something like that.
Yeah, that could be 2 million pay-per-view buys. That could be 2 million pay-per-view buys.
I think so.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. That's a good,
Canelo and Triple G. That'll probably be that pay-per-view will probably be second, but it ain't beating the McGregor.
No, Conor McGregor is the biggest dude in combat sports.
Right.
Anytime he fights, you're gonna. Joshua can't even compete with that.
No, that's gonna be the big one. But
yeah,
I'm excited about all the fights still. As long as we got some fights lined up to end the year with, and that's cool. That's good.
There it is.
Well, if you want Fury to fight Wilder, he's got to do good this Saturday. So.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too. But he'll do good, man. He's got good boxing. I like Fury's boxing skills. He's really good. But you seen what happened when he fought Cunningham? You seen that fight?
Yeah, but
remember Cunningham actually knocked him down. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you look at that knockdown, that punch that he caught, it kind of looked like what Wilder's gonna do. It looked like Wilder throwing that shot. I think he's gonna get dropped if they do fight. But I think Tyson Fury is a strong mental dude to come back. He came back from all that stuff he came back from with the drugs and all this different stuff. He's a tough dude, man. Him and Wilder are tough dudes. I'm glad that they're making this matchup. I'm excited about it. I told you from the beginning, I'm into fight. I ain't into, I'm learning about these politics now, but the only thing I'm learning is that it seemed like some fights be fixed. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, Brian? Boxing politics is just as bad as our American politics. Yeah. So, you just got to take it with a grain of salt.
You're right. But I'm definitely excited, and I'm going to definitely be watching Fury this weekend, and hopefully he do good, and we get that big fight, because besides Canelo and Triple G, that'll definitely be the biggest boxing match to end the year,
Yep.
So hopefully we get it, man. I'm glad to hear, Rob, you back on, man. I'm glad to hear you back. Thank you, guys. For having me.
All right. Good call, Brian, and we'll see you next week.
Good call, Brian. Thank you so much, man. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and finish the news out, and then we're gonna head out of here. Canelo versus Triple G, the rematch almost sold out. Eric Gomez, Golden Boy Vice President, says that they have already sold 17,500 tickets for the event, and there are a little over 2,000 left. They expect this to be a sellout. The undercard for that event is coming together. David Lemieux versus Spike O'Sullivan. Looks like it may be the co-main.
Wow.
Chocolatito is going to be on that card, and so will Jaime Munguia. So
Wow.
that's a good, hey, look, man, that's a good card. That's a good
Solid, yeah.
Absolutely. Somebody in the chat.
I can't complain about that.
Somebody in the chat just said they'll be there ringside. So there you go, man. That's
good for you, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Good for you.
Yeah, you got to make friends with that guy. Maybe he'll take you, man. That's awesome.
That's right.
TJ Dillashaw from the UFC was called out by Gervonta Davis. Davis took to Twitter this week to call out Dillashaw from the UFC for an MMA bout. This is just odd behavior by Davis. Dillashaw snapped right back at Davis and welcomed the challenge with the following tweet. It says, "Bring it. I heard they were handing out belts after Loma left your division." The two went back and forth. And then Dillashaw posted a picture of him kicking Davis in the face. He then posted the following: "Come on over then. Ask Daddy Mayweather for permission. Come sign a one-fight contract then." Actually, he said, "No need for a one-fight contract. Just sign a one-round contract. That's all I need." Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Wow.
Bad idea for Davis, man. Just stick to boxing, man.
Yeah, man.
TJ Dillashaw's a bad man, man.
Bad dude.
He's insane, man. Did you see his last fight when he
knocked? No, I missed it actually, but I read about it.
Wow.
I read about it. He's a beast.
And he took some big shots from Garbrandt too, man.
Yeah, man.
Ohio.
I heard that was a cracker of a fight.
It was good, man. And Billy Joe Saunders and Demetrius Andrade will fight in Boston's TD Garden on October 20th. That should be pretty good, man. That's a good one. Billy Joe Saunders coming over here. What about that?
And our very own England's adopted son will be in attendance.
There you go.
If they let me in.
If they let him in, hey, Beeb's well connected in Boston. He'll find a way in. There it is. All right. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810. Leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. Find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside73 on Twitter, and we'll see you next week.
All right, folks.